This is Confabulous. Confabulous! Hello, this is Momo welcoming you to a brand new Confabulous, the nest for conversations about Filipino pop culture. And today, we have on the show isang kapitapitagan.
Kapitapitagan?
No, isang importanteng pillar of queer society. Wow, hindi. Isang kaibigan ko na talaga namang maraming kaibigan. Hindi seryoso.
Hindi sure yung friendship.
Diba? No, but he's a really good friend. He's been a champion of this channel. So I'm really honored to have here on Confabulous, Jairo Aguinaldo.
Ang daming fans. Thank you po. Na-invite kasi for the past many episodes ng mga ginagawa namin for like Sparks Perspective.
Yes.
Very lang ako.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Kunyari intern. Very intern. No, I love it. Now, so Jairo Aguinaldo is a producer. He's been in the industry. I feel like pareho tayong medyo matagal na sa creative industry. How long has it been?
I think 12th year ko na.
Wow, oh my gosh. Ako, I think it's been a decade for me. So, matagal na po kaming alipin ng industriya.
Industriyang ito.
Yes. No, but we met very recently. Pero parang, I feel like we've been friends for a long time.
For a long time.
Kasi parang marami tayong alignment sa buhay.
Dami namin common friends.
Yes. Oo, totoo. Small world. Actually,
small world.
Sabi ko nga, parang my world is getting smaller because I get to meet a lot of people. But Jairo has been very instrumental in the success of our show, Sparkspective, which is the show that reviews the Sparks Camp episodes. Kasi creative producer po si Jairo ng Sparks Camp. Now, na-interview ko na po si Jairo for Sparkspective at one point in our lives.
Yes.
And you know, the show has ended, Sparkspective has ended. How has it been? Kumusta ka ever since?
Actually ngayon, I'm taking things slow. Kasi syempre natapos yung show.
Tsaka Burmans na.
Burmans na, ganyan. Tapos yun. So, I'm preparing for the next, baka most likely, babalik ako ulit with film producing.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi yun nga, season na naman ng Sparks Camp. Excited naman ako what's to come for Sparks Camp in the next iteration niya.
Yes.
Ayun.
Very
so,
excited.
yun. Implying na merong season 4.
Oh, you heard it here.
Pero yun, pero most likely, at this point yan, babalik muna with film production, ganyan. Tapos yun, balik lang din ako sa aking Jologs life.
Yes.
So yun,
Uh-oh.
I'm coming back to my passions, which is, yun, pop culture, writing about films, writing in general. So yun.
Yes. You've been very busy with many different types of media, I will say.
Yeah.
Kasi pati socials ng Sparks Camp, talagang you were deep into it, diba? What can you say is the state of it currently ng Filipino media in general?
Siguro mas magaan this year than the previous years.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the previous years was really grim.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, well, first, nasa ABS-CBN ako.
Yes.
So, I think, as much as nahirapan yung lahat naman, pero siguro dahil lang malaki kami kumpanya dati and we were like hit double whammy by COVID
and then franchise.
So parang dala-dalawa yung kumbaga hinarap namin.
Right.
Kami dahil sa taga Star Cinema ako. So we're in the film production. So mas latter part of the pandemic pa kami nakalabas dahil nga sarado lahat ng sine.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba?
Yeah.
But now I think mas receptive and at the same time exciting yung landscape kasi people are already excited about producing again. Storytelling in general. People are excited to share stories, create more stories for the Filipino. It's just a matter of, ang difficulty lang ay, I think mas ingat lang ngayon ang industry when it comes to what it will present to the world because mahal mag-produce.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, may feeling akong may hope. Nafe-feel ko naman yon.
I mean, it's very interesting kasi one of the words you used is exciting in future, but at the same time, binanggit mo rin na ingat. So, there's a lot of, I guess, eagerness to produce, to tell stories, as you mentioned. Pero there's also a lot of, hindi naman concern, pero I mean, careful steps to take.
Yeah. Kasi, tingnan nyo, kasi dati, parang may monoculture kang tinitingnan na parang basically, this is what your audiences want. So, mas madali mas madali kang maghain ng different stories and different materials and different media sa kanila based on their preferences. But since sobrang naging fragmented yung yung audiences natin. Siguro dahil din sa streaming because, di ba?
Yeah, I mean, the internet broadened
Yeah.
yung sources of where to get your content.
Tapos yun, parang people now, kumbaga, kasi dati, dahil nga medyo very monoculture yung mode ng industry na kung ano yung sabihin ng bigger players, di ba? Doon sumusunod yung buo.
Yes.
Ngayon kasi, kanya-kanya siya. So, lahat talaga ay parang giving their own share. Parang ganyan. So, kaya makikita mo ngayon kahit sa films sa amin, like, mas uso ngayon yung co-productions. Yung dati, hindi mo maiisip na GMA tsaka Star Cinema mag-co-prod.
I mean, madalas if Showtime is on GMA.
Yeah, Showtime is on GMA. So,
diba?
parang ngayon talaga, it's not now labanan of the platforms, but a labanan of content.
That's good.
Yun.
Oo, kasi I think, I think napansin ko rin yun sa audiences. I feel like a lot of the time before, when I was growing up, yung loyalty ng audience was kind of a very big factor.
Yes.
Parang ABS ba to? Like automatically because it's ABS or it's GMA or whatever. Parang regardless of the content, susuportahan nila yun.
Yeah.
Diba? Pero ngayon, I feel like the lines have been blurred.
Yeah. And tsaka, in a way, mas exciting kasi kahit kami nun, prior to the pandemic, parang we've been itching to like work with other people, ganyan. Tapos ngayon, at least, mas nakakapagtrabaho na kami, not just with actors, but actually with creatives din. Alam mo yun, yung ang ganda, ang sarap-sarap nung, kaya sinasabi ko sa iyo, exciting siya.
Very
Kasi
exciting.
ang sarap-sarap nung feeling na we get to work and talk with other creatives na hindi ka na lang nakakulong dahil okay. Di ba dati uso yung exclusive ka dito ka lang.
Oo, totoo, di ba?
So ngayon, as much as may ganun pa rin namang barriers, pero mas open na yung mga tao to, okay, punta kayo doon, tingnan natin kung anong pwedeng i-offer nila.
And I think that's much healthier then. And the reason why I'm talking to you about that is because obvious naman po, no, that we're queer people. Hyro and I are queer. Well, sorry, in-out ko ba tayo?
Sinong bakla?
Oh my God, walang bakla dito.
Walang bakla dito, bro,
Di ba? Ano to? Trip ko. Rakista lang ako. Trip ko lang to. No, but seriously, queer people kami ni Hyro. And I think one of the things kaya kami parang aligned. Yeah, one of the earliest things that we had a conversation about when we first met was yung references natin about certain things, especially about Filipino media, were very, very similar. So I wanted to have this conversation with you. As a queer, because we're both queer people who was consuming Filipino media as kids. So, I want to talk about, first of all, paano tayo when we were kids. Now, we really didn't get to see at least ourselves on TV, sa mga pelikula, sa music. How was that? Kasi when I was growing up, the only...
Ikukwento ba natin ito sa mga bagets, sa mga Gen Z?
Oo, wala kaming ganito kahirap yung buhay namin. That's what I'm saying, diba? Binanggit ng director namin si Diego from Bubble Gang. But I remember when I was a kid, pag queer people, whether it's a gay man, a trans woman, tomboy, kung ano man yan, they are not parang healthy representatives of us. Like, they're always the butt of the joke. Ganyan. Tapos lumalawa siya sa tunay na buhay ko. So I was always really hungry for at least like a human depiction of a queer person. Was that the same for you? Like, kulang ba siya for you?
Ako kasi hindi ko siya, syempre nung bata ako, hindi ko napansin. Hindi ko yun pansin kasi syempre ako, cartoons naman ako nung bata ako.
Totoo
like,
naman.
Anime ako talaga nung bata ako. Tsaka yun, pang umagang cartoon sa ABS tsaka sa GMA. Yun naman talaga pinapanood ko. Pero syempre, parang later on, nung nagkakaroon na ako ng ideas about myself and my sexuality and my identity, doon ko na-realize, kaya siguro ako queer. Mas nag-identify ako sa cartoons. Kasi hindi sila, hindi sila tao. Ganun.
Right.
Parang they are like fantastical people. Or diba, usually ganun siya. So, doon ako talaga nag-resonate as a kid. So, sa animation. I think kung merong queer representation of, or I think what I see as queer when I was a child, was animation in general. Doon ko kinukuha yung queerness ko. I rarely identified myself with people. I identified myself more with animation. Which is weird.
I think that's so true. Kasi nga, yung mga yung mga hindi animated stuff that we watch it, whether it's teleserye, pelikula, even the news, wala tayong mapanghawakan. And I feel like there's something about not like cartoons that makes them, I guess, para silang coloring outside the lines. Na parang, pwede kang lumabas sa conventions because hindi man sa sexuality, but when you watch cartoons kasi they're magic, they're so parang ang
alam mo yung
no?
nakakatawa yung mga alam mo ako yung mga anime, mga Hapon na characters tapos pula yung buhok nila, buhok nila tapos
so,
parang
I think kumakapit tayo sa kaibahan na yun kasi we already know na in terms of like sexual orientation or gender identity, labas tayo sa
Yeah.
kinoconsider ng society. And so, kumakabit tayo dun sa labas din sa realistic when it comes to cartoons. Kasi I was such a Sailor Moon kid.
Yes, same. I'm a
Sailor Moon
kid.
Gale. Sino ka? Sino ka doon? Pick one.
Sorry, Usagi talaga ako.
Oh my, wow.
Sailor Moon talaga.
Main character.
Main character
Oh my
syndrome
God.
po tayo.
Ako hindi. I was very Sailor Mercury.
Mercury ka.
Yes. I mean, I grew up by the beach. So, parang water si girl. Ganyan.
Yung ate ko, ano siya, Sailor
Diba?
Mars. Oo, kaya yun.
Yung mga kilala kong Sailor Mars, shibo na ngayon.
Sailor Mars ngayon.
Oo. She was giving off that energy, let's be
Oo.
real.
Bakit hindi ba si Jupiter?
Si Jupiter, straight girl, pero boyish.
Boyish lang.
Pero yung talagang trans man levels na, si Uranus.
Uranus
Yes.
talaga.
Alam na alam, mga bakla talaga.
Mm.
Pero yeah, I mean, dun ako kumakabit, I guess my transness, kasalanan ng Sailor Moon. But I guess that's a very interesting thing to note, na parang gipit na gipit tayo for real representation sa cartoons
kasi
tayo
sa cartoons
kumakapit.
kami kumapit talaga.
Yeah.
Tapos yun, parang I think when I was growing up, sobrang limited lang ng queer like people in like mainstream spaces. Like, enumerate ko, kayang bilangin sa 5 daliri.
So true.
So one, for film, naiiwan pa yung konting mga remnants ni Roderick Paulati hanggang 94 sa Bala at Lipstick. Charot. So, nandun pa, di ba?
Yes.
Tapos, I think sa television, emerge si John Sweet Lapus. Andyan si Alan Kay for
Kay.
Tapos, yun nga, for comedy sketch, si Jego lang.
Mm-mm.
Tapos, siguro queer adjacent na yung pag the drag.
Yeah,
Drag
like
ni
Michael V.
Yeah.
Dolphy.
Yan. Michael V, Dolphy,
Augie. Minsan si Augie.
Yan, di ba?
Who? Oh yeah, si John Santos.
John Santos,
Yes.
ganyan. And yun, yung pagdadrag nila. Nandun lang yung, kumbaga, representation. But, kumbaga, and of course, Tito Boy.
Yes.
Nandun lang. Kumbaga, ang laging nasa showbiz chika, nasa comedy.
Yeah.
Nandun lang siya.
Right.
So, wala siya dun sa ibang spaces.
Oo. So parang, I guess, for me kasi my experience was, naalala ko na bata pa ako, obviously I was very effeminate. And so unprovoked, pag nakikita ko ng mga bata or even adults, can you imagine like adults making fun of a young queer kid? Aasarin ka nila or like they would, because ang lagi lang nakikitang representation for like queer people on TV is like kailangan asarin, pagtawanan. They will do that for no reason. For no reason, which was kind of sad. Alam mo, I can sit here and say, oh my God, made me stronger because it did. But at the same time, I'm not gonna advocate for you guys to do that to queer children
just
everywhere.
to make them stronger.
There are many ways to make people stronger. That is not the way. But I think I bring this up because here on Cisnapop, we just finished reviewing 2 queer-centric Filipino programs. Jairo has been in the industry for a while. Being involved directly in a lot of these queer-centric programming then. And I feel like the industry has grown leaps and bounds with queer representation. So I did, like, kaya kita gines, kanina nag-enumerate ka na nga ng mga moments. And that's why I really am so happy that you're here having this conversation with me. Because I'm gonna list certain moments that I feel like has nudged the industry in the direction it's headed now. Because I'm really happy. I feel like we are in a healthy place, at least for queer people. Malayo na, pero malayo pa.
Yeah. Slowly naman nagkaroon ng spaces talaga ang queer representation, lalo na dito sa atin.
Yeah.
Nag-start naman yan, of course, syempre, nasa entertainment lang pa, basically. Pero wala pa siya sa, alam mo yun, bihira ka pang makakita ng public affairs show.
Yes.
Up until 2004, which was Out.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
GMA.
Out. The parang it was specifically for queer stories.
For stories, yeah.
Yes.
Tapos, ang weird nito, guys, kasi
Yes.
Out, midnight yung
ay, oo.
time slot niya.
Totoo.
So, parang wala naman talaga nanonood, pero at least meron, di ba? So, sandali lang yung Out. I think it only ran for like months.
And that shows to you kung nasaan yung Pilipinas as a culture that time because it was so conservative that the show was very tame.
Yeah, very
It was actually
tame.
a very informative magazine show centering lang on queer issues.
Yeah.
Tapos pinalagay nila sa Hating Gabi.
Hating Gabi, yeah. Pero for that, in that moment, kumaga, it was already a big thing. And I was like, I was just at
I was ako din, teenager.
13, 14 ako noon. Naalala ko noon, syempre hindi pa naman ako, I came out a little later pa eh. So, pero syempre I think may idea na ako of that I'm kind of queer during that time. So kasi curious ako about that show. That's why I know it, di ba?
Yes.
So I think may mga panahon na yun, pinapanood ko siya ng midnight just to like know what it is. In terms of film naman, after Roderick Paulate, there was like a long gap of like film queer-centric na film characters.
Yeah.
There was a time during 2000, 2001, one of the major queer films that came out was Markova.
Yes, we did a video on this channel about it for Pride last year, highlighting how important that movie is.
Yeah, it was really an important film. Plus, basically, yun nga na parang the king of comedy, who's also the most famous non-gay character and gay persona, playing a major character, and his sons playing the younger versions of that.
We mentioned that in the video. Now, it was so monumental for the choice of like yung 3 generations of this character was portrayed by 3 real father. 2 sons niya. 2 sons niya were the younger versions of him. Really, really good. And also, the way it was marketed. Kasi parang it was a queer film. So, the way it was marketed was kind of on a scale unprecedented. For a queer film.
Tapos yun, it swept awards.
Yes.
At some point, all of them were awarded like Best Actress in a Best Actress ang award.
Yeah,
sa kanila
I remember
for
that.
like film festival abroad. Then of course Epi Quezon got his Orian, I think, for that film.
You're very right na parang Markova was like this very important queer film, which I believe dun talaga, I guess it was the beginning of queer stories being taken seriously. Kasi medyo same time frame siya ng out.
Yeah, same
time era.
Around early 2000s.
Right, diba? So parang I guess there was something changing. Was it at a rate na parang favorable for us queer people for society? Maybe not yet.
Not yet.
But something was happening.
And I think on the behind the scenes perspective, I think these were the times when queer people are actually now dominating the executive positions in media.
Wait, talk to me about that. What do you mean? Because I don't know anything
syempre,
about
ayoko naman
behind the
silang
scenes.
i-out. Charot.
Pero meron.
Pero I think, na parang I think, dun mo makikita that the executive producers, the writers, are like predominantly gay people and queer women.
As a bagay.
Diba? And queer directors, diba? So, I think, nagkakaroon na sila ng power when it comes to deciding. Kasabay din siya nung wave ng, kasi like for example, intersectional tayo dito. I feel like, kasi in terms of history naman ng film, may certain switch din kasi in terms of demographics ang viewership ng Filipino films in general. Lalo na papunta tayo sa millennium. Nag-shift talaga kasi before the millennium, film going is men's basically men's activity.
Well, I mean that makes sense because recently I did a project that we had to do a lot of research for yung behavior nga of film viewers, and nung 90s super yung bold and action.
Bold and action. Yan. And for the longest time, yun ang
because male viewers were
male viewers ang kasi alam mo yung dati sila ang may hawak ng sweldo.
Right.
Sila ang sumusweldo. But then during the 90s, nagkaroon ng kumbaga increase talaga ng participation ng women sa workforce. So hindi kasi ba dati yun yung ginagawa na housewife ang asawa, bibigay lang sa'yo yung sweldo pag sumweldo na yung asawa mong lalaki. Pero actually, binibigay lang niya yun after niya manood ng sine. Parang, alam mo yun, ganun. So, basically, may sariling Pero dahil nagkaroon ng sariling pera ang babae, nag-shift yung viewership ng sine to women.
They wanted to watch movies too.
They wanted to watch movies too. And kaya yun, nakita mo, and that it was actually, kaya ko siya nasasabi, that was the rise of Star Cinema. Because Star Cinema started basically telling women-centric stories.
Totoo. Dramas, family dramas, romance,
rom-coms, dramas.
That makes a lot of sense.
So yun. So, nakasakay tayo, ang queer people, dun sa liberation din ng mga kababaihan with regards to like representation. Kasi, syempre, nauunang babae, di ba, in a way, sa mga pinagsasamantalahan, nakasunod tayo, parang ganyan. Or at
kasi
least,
parang
diba?
I forgot kung sino yung nag-quote nito. Parang sabi niya, one struggle is one struggle. Struggle ng isa, struggle ng lahat.
Yes. So yun. So dahil 'di ba, unang pinagsamantala ng babae at naging malaya siya for a time, susunod tayo.
Yes.
Parang ganun siya.
Yeah.
So nakasakay tayo dahil nga naging malaya naging malaya in a way, or at least nagkaroon ng kalayaan in a way in terms of economics ang babae. during the turn of the millennium. So nakasakay
Yeah,
din
so
tayo.
it really changed kind of
Oo.
the landscape of media consumption.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-mm.
recently, I just got hold of
Mm-mm.
information sa gaming industry
Mm-mm.
where I think half and half, dati kasi gaming is heavily male dominated for players lang, for the player base. And now it's half and half.
Mm-mm.
So we're really seeing that change does happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes slow, but sure.
But at least it happens, diba?
Yes. Yeah. So I want to talk about the fact na nagsabi ka kasi that there was a gap from
Mm-mm.
Roderick Paulate, and then there was this long gap na walang parang main queer talent to bring some stories to life. Nagkaroon for, I guess, Sweet. John Sweet Lapus.
In terms of television. Kasi to be fair, siya na yung pinaka-consistent na gay
Yeah,
actor.
Don't Tell a Lie though.
Yeah, Don't Tell a Lie, diba? In a way, latter part ng 2000s was like a thing. Diba?
Iconic.
So yon, prior to, may malaking gap. So I think Sweet Lapus was really the thing in terms of, I think mas naging television-centric more than film-centric yung work niya though.
True.
So, and in a way, ayoko talaga i-discount yung influence and yung, kumbaga, yung help ni John Sweet Lapus. Kasi, may feeling akong yung progression kasi eto I think si Direk Rodina Singh may thesis siya nung college na basically discussed the yun nga queer representation historicizing from the beginning up until recent. So ang alam ko isa sa mga na-discuss niya dito kinompare niya syempre of course yung portrayal movement ng portrayal from Dolphy, 'di ba? Na parang basically kakawawa ka ganyan na bading.
Yes.
'Di ba parang ganyan. Tapos, suddenly, during Roderick Paulate's days, nagkaroon boses ang bading. Mataray na siya. Sumasagot na siya.
Good. Yeah, oo nga.
Yun. Sumasagot na siya.
Right.
So, kumbaga, pagtatawanan mo siya, pero lalaban siya.
Yeah.
Hindi na lang siya babatukan. Pag binatukan ka, babatukan ka rin niya pabalik. So, na yun yung bading na lumalaban.
That is a shift.
Yeah, then shift. Then, of course, nag-shift then towards Sweet Lapus kasi ang laging projection ni Sweet Lapus during that time, I am the college-educated mataray.
Yes. Oo.
USD kasi siya eh. So,
I was gonna mention that na I feel like growing up, Sweet was the first
Smart
queer
siya.
person na nakita ko sa TV na parang kasi parang when I was a kid, ang assumption sa bakla, boba, hindi nakapag-aral, ganyan-ganyan. And it was the first time that I saw someone that like was having intellectual conversations with people. Siya talaga yung una kong nakita.
I think nandun sila sa similar level kasi hindi naman lang paalaw. Siguro kaya mas madali kong makonect si Sweet with Roderick Paulate kasi parang siya yung lineage, parang siyang anak, parang ganyan. Kasi as much as matalino din naman si John Santos during the time, pero kasi mas highbrow yung kay John Santos.
Right.
Hindi siya pangmasa.
Yes.
Saka hindi naman siya mataray, hindi siya yung basta gorilera sa kalsada.
Yeah. Oo.
Ganun. So, hindi ko siya ma-compare kasi parang parang a path of its own yung kay John Santos.
And we're sure there's a lot more. It's just we're talking about yung mga pinaka-prominent. Because, I mean, hindi lang naman Filipino movie industry, the media industry all over the world at large has a habit of erasing these narratives sometimes. So yung prominent lang talaga yung mababanggit namin. We're focusing so much on, I guess, queer men.
Queer men.
Do you know anything about like queer women naman? Kasi alam kong mas masikip for them eh.
Ang hirap itong i-discuss kasi syempre hindi naman ako
but like,
queer woman.
Hindi tayo nag-out ha.
Pero kasi, I think mas naging ito lang, this is a message, maybe a thought of compassion to them. Mas mahirap for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Mas mahirap for them kasi I would know like people who have like created beautiful narratives and stories na these are queer women.
Yeah.
It's just that they have to prove, despite the fact that the Philippines is very a matriarchal film society na babae ang mga film studio heads. Pero it feels like they have the directors, the writers, even the filmmakers and the producers would have to act like men.
Yes.
So that they can be...
May ganon. I heard that.
They can be like respected.
Taken seriously.
Yeah, taken seriously. So, laging naka-backseat yung queerness, I think, with women queer filmmakers during the 90s.
Yeah.
But, syempre, ayoko naman mag-out. Pero parang, kung titingnan natin yung major canon ng film industry in the 90s, makikita mo doon ang gawa ng queer women directors. So
amazing.
Yeah. So nandun lang yun.
So meron talaga. So they're there in the background talaga.
Pero hindi lang sila kasi talaga nandun sa mismong, like, hindi mo lang makikita siguro yung portrayal, pero, or limited characters. Like, for example isa sa mga rare instances of like queer women in mainstream cinema, naalala ko to, this is a movie din ng Star Cinema. Minsan Minahal Kita, year 2000s, Sharon Cuneta, Richard Gomez.
Oh, yes.
Minor character lang naman siya.
Mm-mm.
Support character lang siya. Character siya ni Carmina Villaruel.
Oh.
Yung character ni Carmina Villaruel doon ay lesbian siya.
Talaga, because I've never seen them. I know the movie, pero...
Nakakatawa ka kasi yung PD
I've
doon,
never
naka-best
seen-
sila. So, alam mo yun, naka-chaleko.
Oh, yun talaga.
Alam mo na,
Tomboy talaga.
Tomboy talaga.
Ang galing. Oh my gosh, pero so they're
Yeah.
there. Parang
Tapos,
they're
alam mo
always
yun,
embedded there.
Ang ganda-ganda ng eksena to. Eksena to ni Rosemary Hill, ni Sharon Cuneta, tsaka ni Carmina Villaruel. Nahuli na nila na may affair si Sharon Cuneta with Richard Gomez. So, hiyang-hiya si Rosemary Hill na sinasabi na nakakahiya yung ginawa mo. Parang, basically, sinishame niya yung anak niyang nangaliwa. Tapos, dinedefend siya ni Carmina Villaruel. Sinabihan siya nung nanay niya na wala kang opinion dahil abnormal ka. So, parang basically, ini-equate niya yung pagka-lesbian niya doon sa pagkakamali ng babae na
may mali talaga.
Oo, nangaliwa.
Yeah.
Na parang sinasabi na mas masahol pa siya doon sa kasalanan na yun. Tapos, ang amazing thing, hindi pinatulan nung character ni Carmina Villaruel yung sinabi nung nanay. Pinagtanggol lang niya yung kapatid niya.
Yeah.
Wala siyang response dun sa sinabi niya about sa pagiging niya. Hindi na yun in-acknowledge. So parang isa yun sa mga parang feeling ko, tumatak sa akin na, at least for queer women, may ganong level of representation na parang these women can be level-headed, these women can be like, kumbaga, and fight for their co-sisters, di ba?
Beautiful storytelling. Amazing.
Yan.
Papanoorin ko tuloy yan.
Yan. Ganda
So,
siya.
you mentioned things about film, but I feel like there are certain shows, television shows that I think were pivotal then and kind of showing the shift that was happening. And I feel like, tama ba ako yung nasaan ka Elisa?
Nasaan ka Elisa? Yeah.
There was a subplot that was queer, diba?
I think
Was
queer.
that Christopher Rojas?
I think Christopher Rojas and...
Nakalimutan ko yung character. Yeah. Let's look it up. Because I remember it was the first time na nakita ko ng parang ganun sa teleserye. In that, at least in that manner. Because he was having a secret affair with another man.
Actually, mas marami naman, may feeling ako mas marami talagang depiction ng queer men love stories. Hanggang ngayon naman eh.
Yeah, totoo.
Pero I think it's still, parang maaga-aga pa. I think the major film to depict that was 1997's or 1998's Pusong Mamon. Starring Albert Martinez, Eric Quizon, and Lorna Tolentino.
Yeah.
So that was directed by Joel Lamangan and written by national artist Ricky Lee. Doon yung, I think, isa sa mga first portrayal ng queer men in corporate jobs.
Talaga?
Yes.
1997?
97-98, yeah.
Wow.
So, one of the few, kasi diba, yun nga, dominated tayo for the longest time ng Roderick Paulate School of Portrayal. So, yun yung one of the first few.
Amazing.
Tapos yun, I think at that point, after that, Eric Quizon made more and more films na gay yung characters niya. Na ganun din yung portrayal na I'm educated, corporate person, professional. It's just so happy na bakla ako. One of them, of course, is So Happy Together na isa sa mga favorite films ko of all time.
Oh, yes. That was funny.
So Happy Together, hindi po Happy Together. Charot. So Happy Together. So hindi po Wong Kar-wai. This is Joel Lamangan and Ricky Lee.
Yeah. Chris Aquino.
Yeah, Chris Aquino and
Yes.
and Eric Quizon.
Yeah, that was a funny movie.
Yeah, that is in 2004, right?
Yeah.
2005.
I want to get to COVID kasi feeling ko COVID did do something to like medyo speed up the process. Pero naalala ko kasi Nasaan ka Elisa was one of those shows. And then I feel like what really solidified the change for me was GMA's My Husband's Lover. How did you feel about that show?
I love that show. Like,
really good.
Taga-ABS po ako pero I think mararamdaman mo na ito like sa amin sa ABS. Mararamdaman mo na may impact yung kabilang show, yung dati during that time, yung kalaban mo, pag kayo din pinapanood nyo siya. So, during that time, pinapanood namin siya. In the same way na nung panahon ng Aldab, pinapanood din namin ng Aldab.
I mean, sino bang, to be fair, sino bang hindi nanood ng My Husband's Lover noon? Because Twitter was such a thing then. So, it was such a big deal na every episode of that show was trending.
It's just so happened though, na parang tama din naman yung sinabi nila that it wasn't really a big hit, ratings hit. during that time.
No, because like, yung time slot niya din
Yeah.
naman kasi.
Oo, tsaka basically niche talaga siya during that time. It's just so happened that I think yung mga nanood din sa kanya, which is us, we are insisters of representation.
Yun na nga. I think there were people who are hungry.
Kaya strong yung conversation
Yeah.
siya online because people are actually actively talking about it. So, pero malaking stride siya. Kasi basically, it's telling na parang bago pa nauso ang BL nung pandemic.
Yes,
Ayan.
meron na.
Pero kumbaga, nai-kuha na natin yung scenes na yon. But
Yeah.
of course, syempre, ang queer stories, ayoko ding i-erase to kasi malaki siyang parte. Present ang queer stories ever since ang nagtayo ng digital cinema sa Pilipinas ay queer stories. Basically, yeah, because the works of Chris Pablo, the works of, well, of course, Brillante Mendoza.
Wait, the early indie movement.
Yeah, the early indie movement. So, basically, sa
Yes.
queer stories po ang nagtayo.
Totoo naman. Yes, masahista.
Yeah.
Ang pagdadalaga ni
Pagdadala sa
Maximo.
mga Riveros,
Right.
'di ba? So lahat karamihan ng digital films dahil yun nga ayaw tayong pondohan ng mainstream movies dahil mahal daw ang celluloid
para magpakita ng kabaklaan.
Charot. So dahil may digital na, doon napunta talaga. And alam yun, may Robinsons in the Cine, 'di ba? Diyan lumalabas dati lahat ng nagpe-premiere lahat ng bakla movies, ganyan. So, nandoon, kumbaga, nasa corners, kumbaga, laylayan ng film industry ang queer stories up until naging mainstream siya. Of course, medyo na-skip na natin siya, pero may feeling ako na pupunta naman tayo dito. Thank you talaga, Vice Ganda.
No, I was gonna say, because doon ko na, itatahi ko na siya because there have been so many changes. Medyo na-skip lang natin because My Husband's Lover was, I believe, 2012?
Well, 2014.
Something like that.
Like that.
Kasi Vice Ganda was on its Showtime. 2009, I believe. Yeah.
So,
but yes.
Magkakasabay din siya, basically.
Pero parang they were part of the same era, siguro.
Yeah.
No, so I was really, interested about that whole thing. Kasi sabi mo, may gap eh. You started from Roderick Paulate and then you get to John Sweet Lapus and then nawala. Nagka-lull na naman for that kind of representation until Vice Ganda was on. It's Showtime. So we're gonna talk about that.
Evolution siya. Tingnan mo yung progression talaga. It totally makes sense. So, the Roderick Paulate School of Lumalaban na Bakla, pero kalye. The John Sweet Lapus School of
like professional
edukadang bakla pero lumalaban, pero mataray. Tapos merging si Roderick tsaka si Sweet. Ni Vice.
True. That is
si
true.
Vice ay yung edukada si Ate Vice.
Yeah.
Nakarating naman siya ng college, ganyan.
Yes.
Pero hindi kasi ganun yung projection niya sa sarili niya, lalo na nung nagsisimula siya.
Right.
Matalino lang talaga siya.
Yeah.
So she's just really smart and witty. So, basically, sinasabi na niya na wala ka ng karapatan na sinuhin ako.
I want to really get to explore the rise of Vice Ganda because I feel like, tama ba ako? She probably is one of the most, if not the highest paid talent right now in the Philippines.
And probably the most influential.
Like I
would say.
I arguably the most important
person
in right now.
Media right
now, diba? So I totally... So the rise of Vice Ganda from Showtime beginnings to this point, it's a great way to talk about the rise just of queer media. So let's use that. So in 2009, nagkaroon ng It's Showtime.
It's Showtime.
Only as a lead-in, hindi pa sila totoong noontime show nun, diba? Kasi may Wawawi pa nun, I think.
Wala nang Wawawi nun. Pilipinas win na win.
Puta ina. No. Ay, hindi. May Wawawi pa nun.
2009? Wala na. 2008 umalis
lead-in sila ng Wawawi, diba? And then,
oo nga.
I think, and then, there was this whole mess with Wawawi kasi hindi pumapasok si Willie. And then, they had to, nagtaka nga ako nun kasi parang they should have just pushed Showtime to the noontime slot nun. Pero hindi, they made Filipinas win a win. Didn't work.
Up until, I think.
And then, yung kala Tony Gonzaga, which was Happy PA.
So yun, dalawa pa before naging Showtime.
And then it didn't work then. And then they decided to put Showtime sa noontime. But regardless, 2009 nag-start sila. And ang nahugot ko kasing piece of information was, it wasn't even, yung Resident Jurado slot was not even for Vice. It was originally for Long Mejia. A straight man. A straight male comedian. And then, parang, it was on a podcast, sorry, if I messed this up, I think it was Think Talk Tea podcast. Basta it's a Filipino podcast din naman. Pero Trina, the executive producer of Showtime, sabi niya, it was originally supposed to be Long Lihiya. Kaya nung nag-run through sila before the premiere, hindi nag-work si Long. It was just yung executives daw kay Vice natuwa. And so they just decided, which is crazy.
Yeah.
We could have had Long Lihiya on Showtime. Can you believe? During that time.
Hindi rin accident na si Vice ang makitaan ng potential.
Because, it's Vice ganda. Nakakatuwa talaga siya.
But I think nagkaroon na ng entry point, and I think they have to acknowledge, nagkaroon na ng entry point si Vice for ABS-CBN during that time. Kasi bukod sa nag-guest na siya sa Wawawi, na madalas siya nag-guest sa Wawawi, madalas siya nag-guest sa tawag doon sa...
Ang dami niyang inikutang talk shows.
Sharon.
Favorite ko sa Sharon.
Sa Sharon, lagi siya nahampas lang ni Sharon.
Yes, so sobrang funny niya sa Sharon, yes.
Pero I think one of the, malaking, isa sa mga malaking decision din was 2009's In My Life.
Yes!
Andun siya.
Because I remember the scene na parang off-script.
Yeah.
Off-script na parang may sinabi, parang ni-read niya si Madam
Vilma
Santos.
Tapos wala siya sa script.
Tapos tawang-tawa si Ate B!
Oo. So parang best dinner yung setup na yun.
Yes.
Tapos yun. So, I think by that time, nakitaan na talaga si Vice. So parang, okay, kaya. Tapos, so, naalala ko din, di ba, may hosts talaga ang Showtime during that time. Kasi, guys, mga kabataan, na mga
Kung hindi nyo po naabutan yung original era of It's Showtime.
Hindi siya It's Showtime. Showtime lang siya dati.
Yes.
Tapos, iba ang format niya. Ang format niya dati ay talent show. So, kaya, di ba, kaya magpasikat na, di ba? Kaya may ganun. Kasi yun yung format niya talaga.
Yes.
Tapos may resident
So, it was
Morados.
just groups of like talents. So, dancers, mga buwis-buhay, performance. Groups yun, maglalaban lang everyday. I-judge. And the resident judge was Vice.
Yeah. Sobrang hit nun si Vice. Sobrang hit ang Showtime during
May
that time.
nag-text.
May nag-text.
Yung pa-under niya kasi.
So, tapos yun, I think that was it. After that, na-promote siya to like host status.
Yes. Yeah. So, kasi originally, ang actual host talaga was just Ann Curtis, Vong Navarro, and
I think Ann Curtis, Vong Navarro, Karil, si
Jugs and
Teddy, tsaka si Kuya Kim.
Oh yes, Kuya Kim. And that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yun lang ang original host.
So yung mga mainstay hosts ngayon like si Ryan Bang, Jong Hilario, they started out as Jurados.
Yes.
Nag-guest lang.
Tapos na-promote later on.
Yeah, so like the evolution of Showtime on its own is such an interesting story anyway. But like it's just yung vehicle, siya yung naging vehicle for Vice Ganda to be the Vice Ganda of today. And that's why it's very interesting kasi I feel like, first of all, na-prove niya yung sarili niya. But also, I feel like na-legitimize niya na bankable, hindi pwedeng nasa background lang ang queer performers.
Tapos I think what sealed the deal with Vice is, of course, lagi to guys with regards to any form of media, lalo na sa TV, na you have to prove your worth as a person that people would pay for. AKA, you need to have a successful movie.
Right.
May dalawang tumaya sa kanya pero naunang nag-produce kasi
Petra, no? Was it Petra?
Caballo. Yeah. So naunang nag-produce ang Viva ng movie for Vice, which is Petrang Caballo.
Yes.
That was with Direk Wen Dramas, of course, one of our queer pillars din of queer cinema.
Yes.
And that kind of, di ba, tingnan mo, Petrang Caballo was a Roderick Paulati movie.
Yes.
So,
kind of the full circle.
Full circle. Yan. So, minamana lang
and
talaga.
And it made a lot of money. What year was that?
Petrang Caballo was around 2011, 2012. Yeah.
Interesting. Because I feel like that probably, baka yun yung sinakyan ng GMA to be like, oh, then we can do a queer teleserye.
Yeah, probably.
No.
Yeah. Or I
because
think,
it made money.
Made money. Tapos yun, I think magkakasunod na yun with Vice Ganda.
Was it private yung next? Hindi ba private?
Parang private na yung susunod.
Yeah.
Yun. So that was with Viva and Star Cinema na. Yeah. So, sunod-sunod na yan. Private Benjamin, this guy's
year after year.
This guy, merong year na 2 taon siya.
Has Vice made a movie that did not do well? Wala, no?
Wala siyang flop.
Oh my God.
To his standards though, maybe, like, may mga pelikula siyang mas less ang in-earn, pero always wala to his flop. Standards.
Pero wala
siyang flop.
Yeah.
So,
that's insane. That's a lot of power.
And, siya ang natalo niya yung streak ng Enteng Kabisote in terms of box office hits.
Oh my God, yeah. Pero interestingly, yung vehicle din naman kasi nila Vic Soto is a noontime program.
Noontime program, yeah.
So it speaks to the power of that time slot in this country.
Yeah. Kasi nandun talaga yung yun yung magpapabloat ng box office nyo. Ang laging usually, unang pumapasok sa movies ay yung tayo.
Yes.
Pero pag pumasok tayo, mako-convince yung mga tao sa noontime.
Yes. So,
Sila yung
time.
magpapabloat nung box office nun
Yeah.
kasi ang dami nila.
Yeah.
Pero kailangan nila ng proof of concept na, shit, nakakatawa yun.
Yeah.
So, mauna muna yung mga nakaangat ng konti.
Yes. Yung parang may pera to
May
spare.
pera to spare. So, yun. So, kaya importante yung time slot na yun.
Yes. But, I mean, and that's, I think, why the Rise of Vice, to be effective in that time slot is so much power, which obviously, meron nga si Meme Vice. Now, kept growing, nag-reformat na yung Showtime because they became the legitimate time flagship of ABS. So there was so much growth that happened, and I think ABS-CBN was in such a good place, and then the pandemic happened.
So ang hirap nun kasi no one could produce.
No one could produce anything.
Stop lahat. Kami din yun. So like kami sa films, like nakakatawa nun. Alam mo yung may premiere night kami dapat ng March 16 na March 15 ba yun nung kailan nagsara?
Yes, 15 yata nag-start.
Canceled kasi nga ina, di ba sarado na biglang kalsada.
Yeah.
It was really like a stop.
It was a stop. Like nothing.
Tapos yung parang akala di ba ng mga tao noon 1 month lang tayo. Tapos girl 6th month na mahaba na buhok ko.
Did you think that there was something about it that I knew it was gonna be a long time?
Hindi ako umasa ng ganong kahaba.
Talaga?
Like, kasi nakakatawa, may video, di ba, in-announce yung na, wala nang pasok ng ng Friday. So, Friday night, nag-inuman kaming mga friends.
Yeah.
Tapos, ang mga video pa namin, see you next month! Bakla, hindi na kami nagkita-kita.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Crazy.
So, imagine that. Tigil lahat, pati produksyon ng mga teleserye, hindi na natapos ang Make It With You ng
oh my God,
Miss Ken.
Charot. Yes, pinanood ko yun.
Hindi natapos ang Make It With You ng Miss Ken. Hindi natapos ang maraming hindi natapos sa teleserye, guys. So, parang, ano mo yun? Dati kasi, guys, hindi lang tumitigil ang production ng teleserye pag may namatay na bida, aka Julie Vega. Charot.
Oh my gosh! That's a podcast in itself.
Diba? Doon lang hindi natatapos ang mga teleserye, ay ang mga soap opera nung mga unang panahon. Ngayon, di pandemic talaga.
Yeah, so pandemic really changed a lot for the hindi lang queer media, for the entire industry. So, ang dami talagang naganap. But, kanina may nasabi ka rin na parang one of the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic was yung parang interconnectedness na ng industriya. Parang wala na masyadong barriers. But at the same time, I think there was a boom that happened sa queer content.
Ito siya. I think ganito siya nangyari.
Yeah.
May surplus ang GMMTV ng Thailand ng queer-related content na nakapag-shoot sila ng marami for some weird reason.
As in, tapos na.
Tapos na, or at least patapos na.
Tapos hindi
parang ganyan. Hindi na lang nailalabas or something parang ganyan. During that time, nung walang palabas sa TV, ang palabas lang sa YouTube ay Together the Series.
Yes!
So, actually, naramdam mo rin naman niya yung latter part. Ay,
Bright
ito
Wind.
na yung
yung mga Bright Wind dyan magsilabas.
Yeah, parang lahat ng sangkabaklaan ay nanonood during that time.
Yes.
Tapos lahat ng sangkabaklaan ay nag-wish na meron silang jersey na black and white na may number sa likod.
True.
So, parang after na-realize kasi ng mga tao na may malaking niche.
There's an audience for
may audience for it. At nagbabayad sila. At maraming, di ba, nakakatawa yung Together. Alam niyo, naaalala na, di ba, Raikan Topeni, ganyan. Tapos after niyan, may mga commercials na mga inumin. Tapos inom nila na product placements, di ba? So, naging ganyan din yung model ng mga BL dito.
And that's why it birthed a lot of Filipino productions of BLs and GL.
So, nauna dyan, of course, Game Boys.
Game Boys, yes.
And then, of course, kami sa ABS produced our own. I think that was led by Peterson Vargas. Of course, Peterson is also like a
produced a lot of queer content.
Queer films actually, di ba? So,
Hello Stranger.
So, nag-Hello Stranger.
Tony Labrusca.
Yeah.
Na, as we film right now, may pa-show siya sa
kasi for
Sayang,
Boy.
Hindi natin mapapanood.
Oo. So, that was Tony Labrusca and JC Alcantara for Hello Stranger. Then, after nun, nagkaroon ng movies. Like, for example, that, ano yung MMFF movie na yan?
The Boy Foretold.
The Boy Foretold by the Stars. Yeah. So, sunod-sunod siya.
Ang dami talaga nangyari.
And in a way, nag-build din siya ng, kumbaga, may micro-industry of like BL content of the various qualities and genres ranging from patwitams hanggang soft porn.
Actually, may GL din, di ba? There was Pearl,
GL. Pearl Next Door.
And then there was another one.
Tsaka yung Rookie, of course, lately.
Rookie, yes.
Yeah.
So, dumami din talaga
GL.
GL. But,
sa totoo lang, miss na miss ng mga tao, lalo na kami siguro na as queer individuals, na makita yung mga sarili namin in those normative roles na usually nasa romance genre. Hindi natin nakikita yung mga sarili natin as romantic leads na parang tayo yung pursue. So kaya in a way, it was refreshing and masarap panoorin during that time.
And I ibabalik ko lang to kay Meme Vice because that was all happening while Showtime was kind of struggling. Kasi walang tahanan, walang anything because nga nag-lockdown. And bumalik sila, I think a year later, right?
Yeah, like a few months naman. Like they went with di ba may naalala mo yung era na nakaganon pa sila.
Yes, oo nga pala.
So yun, so bumalik sila in a limited capacity. Yeah. So, bumalik pa rin naman sila. At sila yung isa sa mga nanandigan na, okay, magsha-show pa rin tayo. Ganyan. Studio pa rin tayo. So, yun, tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman up until, naka-recover. And, of course, Vice, during that time na bumaba ng konti yung lockdown, has to produce like, as in, totoo yun. Pinakausapan siya talaga ng MMDA during that time. Bumalik ka kasi kailangan ka ng film industry. That's why, kaya siya nag-produce nung movie na Partners in Crime with Ivana Alawi. So yon na actually hindi siya yung top grosser of the year. It was deleter ni Nadine during that time. Pero kumbaga malaking bagay yon kasi 'di ba one of the drivers of that recovery was a queer person.
Yun na nga, but it speaks to the power kasi you already mentioned na parang even before the pandemic, obviously, wala siyang flop. Like, if it was top billed by Vice Ganda, people will go to the theaters and watch it. Makes a lot of money. And then this thing happens na the entire industry is struggling and they had to talk to Vice.
Totoo yung sinabi niyo yung pag-iiyabang, yung alam ko kinuwento na yan ni Meme at some point na pinakausapan siya talaga. Totoo yun. I would always argue that may space yung pelikula ni Vice Ganda lagi sa atin.
Right.
Because sa totoo lang, siya na lang nagpo-produce ng comedy films of that scale. Wala nang iba. Kumbaga, ang brand kasi ni Vice for at least the latter part of her career is like family-oriented funny movies. Diba? Yeah. So, siya na yung naging makabagong puntahan ng pamilyang Pilipino tuwing Pasko.
Yeah, that reflects their stories. I mean, and The Breadwinner was fabulous last year. Upcoming niya is with Nadine.
Call Me Mother.
Call Me Mother.
Ang ganda-ganda nung progression now na parang kasi nagkaroon na ng lakas ng dahil nga I think wala na rin si Meme Vice dun sa point na wala na akong kailangan patunayan.
Yeah.
So I now can tell like the stories that is close to my heart.
Yeah.
So I think that nag-start yan talaga with and The Breadwinner is na yon gusto niya nang magkwento ng karanasan niya tungkol sa sarili niyang pamilya. Danas niya bilang queer person nag-handle ng isang pamilya. Now, ay hindi pa naman ina si Meme Vice, pero may feeling ako na
kind of.
Oo, well, meme natin siyang lahat.
At saka nanay siya ni Ryan Bang.
Pero kumbaga, papunta dahil yon parang I think sinusubukan na niyang i-redefine through this narratives, sinusubukan na niyang i-redefine yung identity niya as a queer person. Like, kung paano yun i-represent. Like, for example, hindi naman bago yung kwento ng Call Me Mother. Kasi, tinan mo, di ba, nagawa na ng tatay kong nanay. Yeah. Nagawa na siya ng I think, Becky Kang. Marami ng ganong klaseng pelikula. It's just that, I think, crucial na i-position yung ganong narratives in this point in time and the idea of Vice Ganda and the stature of her career and the stature of basically the queer life in this era, di ba?
Yeah, because she really has reached this very important level of fame and importance and relevance in the industry. And that's why I brought up the struggle of 2020 of It's Showtime because I feel like that was the change that I've seen. Kasi ako personally, hindi ko talaga siya bet. Especially during the early days of nung Showtime pa siya. Like,
same.
2000, I hate na parang siyang representation ko. Kasi like, number one, I was not like that. I was not like Vice Ganda. At least the way, you know, she was portraying herself nung time na yun. Hindi ako ganon. So I was like, not that I did not like him, but I feel like a lot of other people were like expecting me to make them laugh. And I'm like, hindi ako hurado, be. Nag-grocery ako. I'm in the line at the grocery store. So, ganun. Plus, may pagka-punch down humor kasi siya before. Which
before.
really off-putting for a lot of people. But nung 2020 talaga, when all the things happened with ABS-CBN, or just in the media industry in general, I noticed a shift. Kasi you mentioned something that I feel like that's what sets Vice Ganda apart, is matalino kasi siya. Not to say that all the other comedians out there aren't smart, pero parang may pagka-wired kasi si Vice Ganda with society. Very hyper-aware. And lumabas talaga yun in 2020. So, she was starting to talk about really important things. Naalala ko yan when they returned with face masks on. And parang every episode, she was calling out a national issue or being really shady to a specific government official. And then she came out and endorsed who for me was the right choice in the 2022 elections. Because I think that's really important for a queer person of that. Sabi ko sa'yo kanina, it's not enough that we have queer content out there. Dapat, yung queer people then who have the platform have to speak out, not just for queer issues, but intersectionality nga, struggle nating lahat for all issues. So, what do you think about that? Na nandun na siya at this point?
I think naging process din siya for, sorry, may Vice kung mali ako, pero syempre ito, basa ko lang naman to, ha?
Yeah. Come on this podcast. Explain yourself.
Mahal na mahal kita, Meme
Oh my
Vice.
God.
Pero I think naging process din siya with Meme Vice in terms of how she came from the kind of Vice Ganda that we knew 10 years ago to the Vice Ganda of this,
Yeah.
Kasi imagine nyo lang ha, ako imagine ko lang yung sarili ko sa shoes ni Vice Ganda. I'm a queer person na who now becomes like have successive box office hits. I would feel the power. Eventually, dumating ako sa punto na ang in-interview ko na ay presidente ng Pilipinas. 'Di ba? So parang ikaw, saan ko ipoposisyon yung sarili ko? Shit, eto na ako eh. Oh. Rurok na ako. Ito yung ano.
Yeah.
Then I think yun, may mga bagay that would humble you. AKA,
Right.
may feeling ako na malaking parte talaga yan yung shutdown ng ABS, the pandemic. Nawala talaga, hindi lang sa kanya eh. Nawala sa ating lahat yung kapangyarihan. And that the capacity to make choices for ourselves. Nandoon, I think, nagkaroon ng change din with Meme Vice. Kasi parang naging part, siguro kasi mas naging apparent siya siguro sa amin talaga sa ABS. Kaya in a way, siguro ang lakas-lakas ng resolve namin and sense of community with ABS in general, lalo na pag nasa ABS. Kasi grabe yung pinagdaanan talaga during that time. It was really an emotionally damaging era of our lives. May kapangyarihan na siyang hawak.
Yeah.
And I think mas naging powerful pa yan later on kasi people now seem to listen to her.
Not just any, like, even like high-powered people, like even people in politics listen to her.
Siguro yung power niya noong 2022 when she endorsed Lenny, hindi pa yun yung todong power niya.
Well, because like Lenny didn't win.
Pero tingnan mo ngayon.
The rally. Love Diaz kind of advocated na tumakbo siyang presidente.
Kasi 'di ba?
Diba?
Even the kinds of Love Diaz, tipo tangina straight man to na art person, 'di ba? Imagine these people advocating for that kind of like person, a queer person to like lead on conversations about society.
Yeah.
Iba na 'yun.
Yeah. That's why this whole episode is happening. Because I feel like, I'm not sure, baka, I'm only human. I cannot watch everything. But I do feel like it's not getting talked about a lot, where the voice of queer people is heightened. Specifically because the most powerful figure in the media is a queer person. And yet, kulong na kulong pa rin yung mga queer persons in terms of our rights,
Pero kasi,
opportunities.
as much as sinasabi nga natin, as much as marami na tayong power, pero the society is still designed against us.
Right.
The systems are still designed against us. So, we're still working around these systems na hindi naman binuo kasama natin.
Yeah. We were never considered.
We were never considered. Parang diba, tingnan mo yung mga karapatan natin ngayon, patingi-tingi, di ba? The right to care, na parang buti na lang Quezon City,
Yes,
thank you,
Quezon
and
City,
dumadami ng mga towns. Marami ng inalpas at marami ng, kumbaga, successes, pero malayo-layo pa tayo.
Yeah, pero what a time to be alive. Because I really, like, if you told 13-year-old me that at, like, however many years later, I would be sitting on a couch speaking about how the leaps that we have made, I would laugh at your face.
ilalapit ko na doon sa kung anong malapit sa atin. Kung siguro a few years ago, hindi mo maiisip na queer ang bubuhay sa reality TV show format. Pero ngayon, queer content and queer stories lang ang meron na kumbaga ang one of the strongest flag bearers ng reality TV show format sa Pilipinas.
Yes, sa Pilipinas.
Aside from PBB ha.
Yeah.
So,
and I argue is kind of queer anyway.
Yeah, totoo naman. Very queer naman talaga PBB. Pero yun, di ba? Lahat, yung mga reality shows, the genres, are now dominated by queer stories. Like Drag Race. Ay, syempre, ayoko naman sabihin nag-dominate kami. Pero hindi mo yun may-imagine before. Yeah. Na ngayon, interesado ibig sabihin ng mga tao na malaman na nung buhay natin. Nasa punto tayo ngayon of like us as queer people defining our boundaries and defining our roles and making spaces and taking up space. As long as, kaya nga sabi ko nga, buti na lang ako natutuwa din ako kay Meme. Kasi, alam mo yun, si Meme yung, hindi siya natigil na siya lang. Kasi nag-form siya ng maraming mga anak.
Right.
Diba, yung buong lahat ng tao sa Vice Comedy Club, lahat yun ay stars in their own right na. Hindi na lang nakaposisyon dun sa molde ng kabaklaan ni Meme Vice, ng queerness ni Meme Vice. Kasi marami na, kumbaga, dapat nga, sabay-sabay na kumikilos yan. May part ni Meme Vice, may part ng BL. Dapat sabay-sabay tayo in all fronts.
Totoo. Para talagang sugod, mga kapatid. But I wanna go back to Sneer lang a little bit, just to like, solidify talaga kung nasaan na tayo sa representation of queer people. Because what I love, kasi, kaya ako sinasabing medyo queer ng PBB ngayon is because the representation of Isnir on that show was the first time I have seen such a careful treatment of a queer cast member on a reality show. Because I have always been like, before being a trans woman, I've always been like a very effeminate, gender-bending human being. And I've lahat ng mga male friends ko have been kind of like the way the boys treat Isnir. Ganun sa akin. And I feel like that's so rare. So natuwa ako kasi parang, number one, if you're a straight guy, you would see na parang you can treat your queer friends well. Hindi mo sila dapat i-bully. Or if you have a friend na queer person, you can be affectionate. Just as much as you can be affectionate to a straight male friend. Alam mo yun, yung parang, I just love seeing na parang,
yun nga sila. Dalaga siya dun talaga eh.
Dalaga siya dun. Parang they genuinely care and like love him. And I feel like, diba, parang first time ko na 2025. But like, I just love that. I had to mention it because I feel like that was a very special thing that is happening in like the queer space, which is so beautiful.
So parang nandun na tayo sa, malaking bagay yun ha, yung lalo na sa PBB na nakita ng buong mundo na ganun tratuhin ang femme gay man.
Yeah.
Yan. So parang ako nga, ang wish ko nilang din sa talaga, mag-expand tayo para, alam mo yun, pati ang queer women, makikita na natin kung paano, una naman may mga Jessie Corcuera ka naman na lumabas sa PBB.
Oh my God!
Oo, na Starstruck din data.
Oh my God, yes.
So, unti-unti nakikita na natin yan.
What a time to be alive as a queer person. Yes. Well, I really enjoyed that conversation, Jairo. And I feel like marami pa tayo dapat masabi about this. But like, we're only human. We have very limited time. But thank you so much for sharing your encyclopedic repository of pop culture information, 'di ba?
Para saan pang binansagan tayong pop culture historian.
Ah, wow, 'di ba?
Gamitin na natin 'to sa tama. Wow.
Correct. That's why you are an internet celebrity. No, but before we close this confabulous conversation, let's move on to our segment, Fab Finds. So, Fab Finds is the segment where we share things that we find na medyo connected to pop culture that we believe you'd have fun exploring as well. And for you, what is your Fab Find, Jairo?
Ito kasi nga, dahil nga parang nangyari dun sa episode natin ngayon ay nag-historicize tayo ng history,
yes,
representation sa media.
Ito,
I was doing research for film concept that I'm doing. Tapos, napadpad ako dito sa documentary na to. Nung napanood ko na nung bata ako, I was 13. But this is the, kumbaga, most extensive documentary on Filipino TV history na pinuduce ng ABS during that time for its 50th anniversary. Never pa tong napantayan ever. Kasi, well, hindi na sila nagpa-produce ng mga ganitong klaseng content. So, ang title niya ay limampung taong ligawan, the Pinoy TV story.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
Okay.
So, available siya sa YouTube. So, you could search it naman on YouTube. I think an account uploaded it like for fair use. So, ang pangalan ng account ay TCP Documentary Series and Specials. Tapos ang maganda dito kasi yung mga narrators niya ay yung the big stars of that era. So, basically, it opened with Dolphy narrating the beginnings of,
bongga.
CBN. Yeah. May segment din si Sharon, may segment din si Maricel, I think. Sobrang extensive siya, almost 2 hours yung documentary with clips and interviews. Yun ang pinaka-extensive na, I think, historicizing na meron ng
so far
history ng television. Yeah. So you may want to check on it kasi interesting yung
I
times.
will.
And para I think maganda rin na magkaroon tayo lahat ng common language in terms of history ng pop culture natin.
Yeah, so totoo lang. I mean, I went to school for comms and I feel like medyo manipis talaga yung literature natin.
Then true.
Medyo manipis. That was a great find and I hope especially mga students right now, that might be helpful to you guys. Pero ang ganda nung finds. May yung finds ko parang medyo baklaan lang. But no, actually, this is a really good thing. So there's this TikTok account ni @YogiBenj and he hosts this TikTok game show called The Social Dilemma. Tuwang-tuwa ako dito. Like,
alam ko to.
Yeah, so sobrang
this is from
naaaliw ako.
People from GMA, right?
I'm not sure, but baka producer talaga siya, I don't know. But this person hosts this game show. Parang online lang siya via Zoom. And the whole game show is a trivia game show pero based on memes lang. Kasi ang tagline niya nga, ang game show para sa mga chronically online. So, nakakatawa siya because the questions are, kunyari, kumpletuhin ang linyang ito. Tapos may papakita siyang meme. Ganun. So, it's very entertaining. I really love it. And as a big fan of, watch the channel. I'm a very big fan of game shows. I feel like it should be a legitimate game show aired on TV. So, again, ang dami pang producer sa set na to. Let's get the ball rolling.
Tapos, syempre, nakalimutan ko, oo nga pala, nagtatrabaho ako sa isang film company. Charot. Magpo-promote na rin ako para sa mga kaibigan natin. Ganyan. So, may 3 pelikulang lalabas ang Star Cinema this last quarter. So, ngayon kami talaga magpapasabog this last quarter. So,
yes.
So, the first 2 films na lalabas this November, ang Meet, Greet, and Buy, directed by Cathy Garcia Sampana. So, ito yung pelikula nila Marisol Soriano.
Oh.
Yeah, Piolo Pascual, Joshua Garcia, Bel Mariano, and Juan Carlos. Tapos, of course, for MMFF, may 2 kaming entries for MMFF. One is, of course, Call Me Mother, starring Meme Vice. So, panoorin nyo sana. Tsaka, Love You So Bad. Ito na yung love team movie ng MMFF starring Wilka or Dusby. Charot. So,
what do you mean? Hindi pa sure?
Hindi.
Or Love Triangle?
Love Triangle kasi siya.
Oh my God!
So, it's Will and Bianca and Dustin.
That's kind of genius.
It is inspired by an earlier Star Cinema classic, Dahil Mahal na Mahal Kita.
Oh.
By Claudine Barreto, Rico Yan, and Dieter Ocampo. So inspired na lang to, guys, kasi kumbaga, yun lang yung naging reference point, but sobrang interesting ng kwento and sobrang exciting, and I think magugustuhan
siya. Mahirap, parang totohanan tong love triangle.
Hirap, di ba? Sinong pipiliin?
The fans are gonna go crazy. I love that. Oh, diba? Yes. But I loved having this conversation with you, Jairo. Where can we find you for your historical,
So, sometimes I post essays on Facebook. Pero dinecide ko na i-port na sila lahat sa Letterboxd. So, may Letterboxd account ako.
He's cultured, y'all.
Hindi, actually, ayoko na. Kasi wala talaga naman Letterboxd ko eh. Pero ngayon na-decide ko lang, okay, doon ko na ilalagay. Tapos, I think you could find me on Instagram @Jairo Aguinaldo. That's HYRO, tapos Aguinaldo. Then, you could find me on Twitter @HEYROW, Hero.
Love it. Well, that is it for Confabulous for this episode. And tune in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Cessna Pop so that you're notified when a brand new confab is uploaded. Plus, you can also follow me on Instagram @HoyRamona. Hubadera po ako dyan. So, marami kayong makikita ng content. Thank you so much, Jairo. See you all on the next confab. Mwah. Bye.
This is Confabulous, the nest for all things Pinoy pop culture. hosted by yours truly, Momo B, directed by Chi Jihan, and powered by Cisna Studios. Thank you to MJ Foss for the Fab Chat, and thanks to you for listening.